Hey, what's up and good morning everybody. This is David Pendleton. Thank you for clicking on the video. Right now I'm going to cover a lot of holes on Pro. We're going to talk about holes number 4 all the way through number 10, and then I'll be working on playing the rest of the final 8 holes. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Please hit that thumbs up and please hit that subscribe. And we're going to go ahead and just hop right in here to hole number 4. Hole number 4 is where I left off yesterday. This is going to be a par 3. We're going to play this one 20% at max. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to set our spins first. I'm going to be playing the rough bump. It's the way that we played it so far, on rookie and pro. So this is my preferred method on either division. We're going to go 3 bars of side spin to the left. And here we're going to go just under 6 bars. This is about 5.8 bars of top spin. And that should be pretty good. No matter the wind strength. And then what we do is we line up here with our yellow ring at the rough, just like that, and we point our ball guide line right there at the outer edge of the left-hand side of the hole, okay? And then we go to pull our rings. Now the thing here is this one's going to be a little bit tricky because this is something that I never ever talk about on my channel, as I try to make everything very easy. But hole number 4 here is going to be pretty wind angle dependent on whether or not you make this shot. So for example, if you get the same wind angle that I have here, like when you go to pull your rings, okay, if you're basically looking right here at this rock and you're lining up the exact same way that I did, you're actually going to be pretty darn close to dropping this thing for the hole-in-one. There's a chance though that when you go to pull your rings, you're going to be staring off over here at this rock, I believe. That's one of the other wind angles that you might get, and you're probably going to end up missing it to the left-hand side. So you need to counter for that by pulling less rings, so changing the elevation on the fly. I just wanted to note that to people on this hole, because normally in pro, we can always be pretty close without having to worry too much about something like that. But on this hole, I practiced this hole quite a few times, and that was going to be the common denominator, because whenever you're not looking at this little rock right here like I am, the shot's pretty far off to the left. So I didn't want people to get upset and be like, wow, this shot's not even close. If it's not close, it's because you're definitely getting a totally different wind angle than I am when you take your shot. And that's normal in the game, more prevalent, in expert and master, but it is one thing here that I just wanted to point out on hole number 4. But that's the way you play it. You're going to play it 3 bars of this left spin, 5.8 top, and you're going to be pretty darn close every single time. The hole-in-one that I got here, I did pick up several times, and so I did get that wind angle more times than not. All right, that will take us here to hole number 5. We'll play it 10% at max. These crappy, headwind holes continue to be the common theme here for pro. For me, in headwind, with an extra mile 9, I might have been able to take a berserker and trying to launch one up the fairway here. I don't know how far we would get because I didn't go with that one. But if you're somebody who's playing with money balls, or even the free-to-play balls like that bubble ball, that wind resistance 3 power 5 ball, probably be a pretty good ball you could pull out here and try to use if I'm just thinking about alternative routes to go. But for me, I just decided to go ahead and take an extra mile 9 and go with the Kingmaker for the wind resistance and go full top spin. Same thing here. If you don't have an extra mile 9, you could take like a big topper and maybe even a Zerk and blast one up the fairway here. But either way, not the best wind angle to approach this hole. But you see here, we drive it down the middle of the fairway. Everything looks good, leaving us for shot number 2. Shot number 2 here, I play 20% at max. You can see that I'm already at the plus yardage of my club. I would have much rather been in thorn range. So, maybe even it's a little bit better to take some off the drive. And then here you're going to see I'm using a little bit of backspin. And unfortunately, when my ball touches the fringe line, you can see that it's totally throwing off the shot. So now, in order for me to get close here, I have to hope that the 20% is good. and then I'm not going to accidentally clip that rough and throw that, or not the rough, I'm sorry, the fringe, and completely throw the shot off. Like I said, I did pull it 20% at max. Perfect ball. I mean, that one is so close. That one's a little frustrating to not get. But you know what? We hit a lot of shots on holes 1 through 4, so we just have to kind of take that one where it is. This is going to be hole number 6. This is going to be the par 5. Really great chance here to try to pick up an albatross. I'm going to go 6 top, 2 bars of side spin to the right. I move my target over to the left a little bit until the white ring is touching that rough line right there on the right-hand side. Here I make my pull. I do get a little bit aggressive with my drive using some overpower and a little bit of right curl. Really for this shot, I want to be as close to the right-hand side of the fairway as possible. And you see here I'm kind of right in that sand line. But really the more right that I can get, the better off I'm going to be for shot number 2. So I'll take this without getting too greedy and pushing it even closer to that sand line. You can see here I start off at the plus 12 yard mark, which is max distance of my club. So I'm able to still go for the rough bump. But again, you know, if I could have got a little bit more right on the drive, I wouldn't be exactly at max distance. But this is still okay. We're just going to use top spin until the ball guide line is going through the pin. So here it just happened to be 5 top, 1 bar of side spin to the right. We do need the right side spin to counter effect how this hole rolls, and we learned that in rookie. That's one thing I talked a lot about on this hole in rookie was this one really slopes from right to left. So let's use some right side spin to counter that, which is what I did here. We hit a perfect ball. We get to zoom in, and then we just burn another hole there. So very, very close. You know, I hope that you can take these very small misses and turn those into drops. That one came in a little bit fast. I think ultimately it would have been okay. So we might not have to put the ball guide line as far through the pin as possible. I think that's one thing that people will watch and they're going to change on my shot. You just need to know that when you take a little bit of that top spin off, the ball is going to come in slower, which is fine. But whenever that happens is your ball is going to start to turn to the left-hand side of the green even more. So we might need to reduce the top spin a little bit, but then counter that by adding a little bit more right side spin so that the ball doesn't have time to veer off to the left. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's just how hole number 6, fairway and green plays. Now we go to hole number 7. Hole number 7, we're going to go 1-to-1. This is 5.6 miles an hour. That means we're going to try to pull 5.6 rings. And it would be nice if you were to keep the wind under 6.5. So if you're going to use a katana and the game starts you off, you know, at 6.9, if you have the ability to, I would then swap it out to a kingmaker to knock down the wind a little bit. But here, I chose to stay with the katana because 5.6 is very low for pro, especially when using this ball. And now it's just about setting that spin up to get the ball guideline left-hand side of the pin. So here we're going to go with some top spin combined with some side spin to the right. You see as I start to put that right side spin on, the ball guideline starts to go to the left a little bit. I zoom in so that you can see what I'm looking for right here. Really for me, I was focused on the end of the ball guideline. That was the green squares that I was trying to reference and write down my notes based off my misses. So you can see right here that the end of my green square is kind of pointing to the right-hand side of that dark green square. Very difficult to see on this hole, the light green and dark green squares. But if you're taking notes, you know, that's what I was looking for. Difficult to get the right ring pull to here whenever we're going from a high to a low elevation and pulling into the sand. It would be better off to push your rings, but I'm not that great at pushing rings when it's over 5. You can see here that, you know, we go in the hole and we bounce out because it comes a little bit too fast. This is either going to make or break my tournament, to be honest with you, if I make it to the final round. You know, holes 1 through 3, well, really 1 for 4, we're good. And then, you know, 5, 6, 7, I'm right all over the pin. The difference between making these and not making these in Tier 3 Pro is the difference between whether or not you make the final round. So You know, I'm going to be right on that cutoff. It's going to be really close. This one's pretty simple as far as the drive goes. You know, we're getting dead headwind, so we don't have to adjust elevation. Extra mile level 9 players can easily go full topspin. And I wish I would have hit a perfect ball so that I didn't clip the rough and roll out. You know, you can use more powerful balls if you want to, or you could just lay up. There's a layup option on this hole. It leaves you with a really, really long sniper shot. So, you know, your layup option is basically going to be right here. So in past tournaments, you know, we haven't had this course too often, but we've had headwind on it quite a bit. So second tee, we can drive right here, right? A lot of people choose to play with like a quarterback or a rock, and you drive and you leave your ball right here, and then you go to pin over here. Typically plays between 10 and 15% elevation, but you just take a really long sniper shot, which is fine. But we don't really like taking long sniper shots on par 4s when we can kind of push it a little bit. Here I'm playing this shot 15% at minimum. And this is the same thing that we encountered on the other hole, to where the ball guideline, it just, look at that, it just jumps around. Kind of frustrating. A little bit of backspin combined with some side spin to the left. And look at that. When I move my target around, that ball guideline just jumps. So it's hard to find a consistent rollout spot. Even my opponent feels for me. He's like, what is going on with this crap? But ultimately, you know, I finally find somewhere to shoot. And I'm not even sure that I make the correct adjustment because the shot clock was going off on me. So this is 5.5 miles per hour. I pulled 5 rings. Who even knows what that is, if it was even right or not. But, you know, it came pretty darn close. Again, that's not a great hole example. You know, I just wanted to put it out here so everybody could see how I played it. But still, you see 5, 6, 7, and 8 now. We're leaving the ball right at the pin, and that takes us to hole number 9. Hole number 9, not the most fun wind angle again, as we're getting a little bit of headwind on this hole, you know, which is going to keep forcing me to play to the left-hand side here. Driving the ball to the right-hand side on this wind angle is a little bit more difficult. Higher level APOC players, you could try to swing the ball over to the right-hand side of the fairway, which would be really nice because then it would leave you with a rough bump opportunity to try to pick up the albatross. Still going to be more difficult of an albatross to drop. It's going to be like a max distance probably, you know, with your Goliath or maybe even your Grizzly, depending how far you get on your drive. You can be playing with a sniper. So for me, that drive is not worth it because you could easily over curl your shot and land in the rough. Or you could hit a nasty great left and land in the rough on the left-hand side. And then I'm not even sure, you know, if you're using, you know, like a Kingmaker, if you can even get to the green in 2 if that happens. And I was not willing to find out. So for me, I just have to play hole number 9 safe here. I would say that this course is also set up for slice abilities. Whenever you have the wind blowing from left to right like we have now. I'm not the best player, though, at figuring out slices on the fly without going through a bunch of practice tokens and balls. So I would really only do that on a par 4 unless it really gave me a significant advantage. So there's a lot of different ways to play hole number 9. I'm just kind of thinking through all the different ones that I know or that I've seen people talk about. But here, for me, you know what? I'm just going to take the eagle. And if I pick up a lucky albatross, I'll take it. But you can see here, going on the left-hand side of the fairway, there's absolutely no problem getting to the green in 2. We do get a nice wind angle here on shot number 2. Now, this one's not really close at all, but it's good enough to drop us in here and pick up that eagle on hole number 9. That's going to flip us off here to hole number 1. And the reason I'm showing hole number 1 right now is because I did not do good at it at all, so I might as well just get it out of the way instead of leading off with it. I needed some drops, and unfortunately, I didn't get it. You know, most people in Tier 3 Pro are sitting at minus 15s or minus 16s at the turn. So I really think the cutoff is going to be minus 30s to get into the final round, at least for both of my pro brackets, as they are looking pretty spectacular at the moment. So here we're going to be going, well, I'm going to be going with the Bryson ball, which is a free-to-play ball. It was given away in the Golden Shot Hard Edition. I always keep these balls until I need them, and then this is a situation to where I needed them. I'm going to try to play this one the same way that I did on hole number 1 in this round, which is going to be full tap and utilize that top spin boost. And really, I just wanted to get down the left-hand side of the fairway, hoping that I could drive this ball very, very deep high fairway, or maybe even lucky, like roll onto the fringe or something like that. But here you're gonna see I'm gonna let it fly. Unfortunately, hit a minor great shot to the right, and I'm not getting enough of a push here to save my shot. So now I'm stuck in the bunker. Now, it's okay because I was easily able to take a sand shot and get a direct line towards the pin. But, I didn't make it on either of my accounts. So I picked up a birdie on hole number 1. To me, that's no harm, no foul, because I'm having a really difficult time dropping shot number 2, with our Grizzly or our Thorn whenever we do the layup drive option. It's very, very slider dependent. So that's it as far as that goes. I'm going to just let this thing post. I'm going to play holes 2 through 9, and I'm going to hope that I get some drops so that I can move on to the final round. Thanks, everybody.